Hi, everybody. My name is Lanika Edwards. I'm a poet, artist, author, educator, and linguist from Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. Today, I wanted to share an off the cuff kind of video. I wanted to talk about something that's kind of on my, I don't know if I should say on my heart, but it's something that is often in the forefront of my mind. And I just wanted to share something that I feel very strongly about. Now, I am feminist. I'm somewhat feminist, you could say, but I'm not like extreme feminist, like an extreme feminist who would say, oh my gosh, all men are horrible. No. I'm also not a female misogynist. Like, I believe in female empowerment and I believe in women empowering women and that kind of thing. I believe in men empowering women. My personal stance where gender challenges are concerned is that men and women were originally created equal, and that we really need to stop using gender as a weapon to further abusive inequalities, abusive ways of particularly men treating women and how and a kind of abusive agenda that would allow men to frame women and our identity in a particular way, right? So here's something that within that whole context that kind of really bothers me. So one of the things more and more that I am coming to realize, and you could disagree with me if you like, but I mean, you're gonna have to work really hard to prove your case. But I really do believe that there are many men, I would say probably well more than half of the men out there, who a large percentage of men, I would say the overwhelming majority of men, believe that women were created and designed solely for their enjoyment and entertainment and for their and for them to seek the approval and the endorsement of male approbation, if I could put it like that, right? It's almost as if women are supposed to be living for male approbation and approval, and that's how men see women. So why do I say this? For example, in my case, if I'm going to make this really personal, I have experienced quite a bit of body shaming, right? From men and women, but definitely more from men. And you have people who comment on your physical proportions, your shape, who laugh at you behind your back and make fun of how you look and things like that. I have experienced that. Now, thankfully, I have a very thick skin, so none of that ever really undermined me in any way. Like, it didn't undermine my confidence, but I'm sure that there are a lot of women who probably go through the same thing, and it probably does wreck their pride, their sense of dignity and things like that. And I find it so not strange, but so wrong, so wicked. Like, why, if I were a guy, why would I think that it is my right to look at somebody else and decide that I'm going to give them, I don't know, a 2 out of 10 because they're not put together well enough. Their shape is not an hourglass shape. They're not as pretty as the other lady who just passed by. Why is that? Why would I feel entitled to do that? It's wrong. It's very wrong. And it's very stupid. Because guess what? Nobody was sitting next to God when he was knitting us together in our mother's womb, as Psalm 139 puts it. so beautifully. When God knit me together in my mother's womb and decided what genetic coding he was going to use to make sure that when I popped out of my mother's womb, that I was going to grow up to look a certain way. Who was I there with God when he determined how I was going to look? Do I have some kind of magical say in how I look, what my body shape is, or any of those things? So why would somebody think that it's okay to laugh at those things or to comment on those things, to make that some kind of judging point, as if, you know how men act? Men act as though every time a woman passes close by to them, in front of them, or wherever, that there is this constant beauty pageant that they are viewing, that they are in a permanent state of being in an audience that is constantly either clapping, that they are in an audience that is always clapping or booing, you know, almost every woman that passes by. You know what I can't stand either? The men who look at my toes to see if I know what that's about, because I research things, I read up on things. So I know the advice that men give to other men is that if you discreetly, and it's never very discreet, right? If you can discreetly look at a woman's toes, you can determine how well she takes care of herself and if she's dating material and marriageable material. That is so stupid. I could tell you there are many times when I'm about to head out the door and I may be in the kitchen and or somewhere else in the house, and in my rush I may stub my toe and crack one. I don't know if crack is right word, but you know, it would kind of damage my manicure, you know, or make my toenail look jagged or uneven or whatever, especially if it's the toe of my big toenail. But I'm rushing, so I have no time to go back and fix my toenail. I just go out and just like that. And then you've got these guys looking at your toes and you can tell they're like, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough. You know, you can tell, you can almost kind of read their mind. And I just think that's so stupid. I'll tell you why I think that's stupid. Because one, if I'm married to somebody and I'm deciding whether I'm going to marry somebody, based on whether their manicure is good enough or not, that's stupid. That's very superficial. And I would like to think that if I am married to somebody and I have some issue with my manicure, my fingernails or my toenails, that the person that I'm married to would care about me enough that they might even be willing to help me, that they wouldn't just say, that's for you to take care of. Huh? I hope you could handle your manicure. I hope you could fix your nails. I hope they look good enough. I'm not in that, you know, that is for you to take care of, right? Why would I want to be with somebody like that? And why would I want to be with somebody that superficial? Furthermore, men don't really, I think, have to worry or think about what their nails and so on look like as much as women do, right? And for women, all the beauty care that men seem to think women are supposed to access, a lot of men don't realize that it's expensive, right? It's expensive. Why do you think that you are entitled to judge me based on something that you think would make me more attractive when that thing is actually quite costly and you have no kind of input in my personal budget? What gives you a right to have any kind of privilege, self-determined, self-appointed privilege in judging me based on how my nails look? Sorry, no man, no woman has any right to do that unless I'm in a beauty pageant and I'm supposed to look a particular way. or if I'm going for a job interview or something, and I'm supposed to be well put together, okay, that's different. But you can't tell me I'm walking about minding my own business in the mall or wherever I am, and you actually kind of look at me head to toe to determine if I meet your very self-inflated opinion about what beauty standard I'm supposed to meet. And you know, I wrote a poem about this sometime earlier this year, I think, and I have a feeling it offended some of the people that I know who are males, right? Like people who are or were my friends or whoever, right? They read the poem and I think they were offended. I don't think any guy has any right to be offended by this, because it's really women that this is imposed upon women. So it's really women who should be getting upset, not the men, right? And furthermore, I could tell you in my case, I've had people who have gone out of their way. They go out of their way to try to tell me that I'm ugly, that I'm not as pretty as somebody else, and sometimes they do it in very subtle ways, but they do it nonetheless. Thankfully, I have a thick skin, and it's, you know, water off a duck's back for me. But why would anybody feel that they are entitled to tell me or anybody else that they're not good looking, that they're ugly, they're not pretty enough? What kind of stupidness is that? Right? And I have to say, I think correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't really see this in the reverse. You don't really see women sitting down, and at least not the women that I know, you don't see them kind of doing this same thing, but in the reverse, like assessing whether a guy is put together well enough, if he's done his nails, if his toenails and fingernails are properly manicured, you know, if he's, you know, if his colors are matching, if, you know, these kinds of superficial things. And I'm not saying that people should not make an effort to look good. I'm not saying that, but you see this very emboldened, bold face, as we say in Trinidad, this bold face kind of entitlement that men have where it comes to women. When it comes to women, it is not right. It is not fair. It is not logical. And it is definitely out of place. I don't appreciate it. I definitely don't appreciate it. And yes, I've had men go out of their way to tell me that I'm ugly, that I'm this, that I'm that, that I'm the other. I'm not even going to repeat some of the things that I've been told, right? Whether directly or indirectly. But I'm not going to repeat some of the things that I've been told directly or indirectly. I'm not going to repeat them. But guys out there, you really need to cut the ladies some slacker. We really shouldn't have to be feeling as if we're constantly on some kind of beauty pageant, identity parade, if I could put it like that. You know, it's not fair. It's really not fair, and it's not kind, and it's stupid. Sometimes I think about people, they probably don't even know that I knew that they were laughing at me behind my back and these kinds of things. And I think about them, first of all, sometimes these men themselves, they're not so hot either, right? They ain't so hot. They ain't so hot themselves. They definitely wouldn't be in a GQ magazine, I could tell you that. But you have the audacity to be laughing at me. I look better than you. You laughing at me? Come on, you know? And I personally would not go out of my way to tell anybody, male or female, that they are ugly unless I was properly provoked. I'd have to be properly provoked to do something like that. And even then I probably wouldn't do it. But I would not, it would not even enter my mind to go out of my way to tell somebody that they're not good looking, or try to make somebody feel that they're not good looking enough. What kind of dotishness is that? Why do I think that that's a thing to do? And the sad thing is, some of these people are people who would call themselves Christian, right? Some of them are unbelievers, right? But they know better. Even as unbelievers, they have a conscience. They know what they would want, what they would not want done to them, or what they would want done to them. So I'm sorry, both sides of the fence are accountable, right? Whether you're a believer or not, whether you're a Christian or not, people know the difference between right and wrong in most cases. I sometimes wonder why there's so much lack of empathy in the world, because that's really what it boils down to. That attitude of entitlement comes from a lack of empathy and also a lack of thought. A lack of thought. How could I mean, I'm sorry to be going round and round like a merry-go-round, but how could I look at somebody who did not make themselves and laugh at how they look, especially when God created that person and said, it is good. They are good. To me, they are a masterpiece. How could I then look at them and laugh at them? Oh, your nose is too big. Your butt is too small. You look too muscular. You don't have enough curves. What kind of dotishness is that? Did I put curves on my body or a lack of curves? Did I give myself my eyes, my nose, my ears, my mouth, my teeth? So why is that anybody's business to comment on? To me, that's like insulting God. That's like saying, God, I hate to tell you this, but you didn't do a good enough job with this one. You really missed with this one, right? That is insulting to God. But of course, nobody's going to be mad enough to go to God and say, God, you're real miss with that one. You're real miss. You know, nobody would say that. So what do? They attack the person instead. That is stupid. That is just downright stupid. And I'm not saying as a lady that I don't appreciate being admired or complimented. I'm not saying that. I don't want men to feel that they cannot compliment women. But you see this thing where is he Miss Universe? Every day is a Miss Universe. Every day is Miss World for you. When you go to the mall or when you're driving about the place or whatever, it's like you in a constant Miss Universe audience. That has got to stop. It has got to stop. It's not right. It's not fair. It's stupid. It's just downright stupid. So I think I'll end my rant right there. I guess this was a kind of rant, right? Me personally, I don't have any issue with how I look, right? I don't have an issue. I could tell you that there have been times in my life where people may not know it, but I would have been on medication that would have made me put on weight. Sometimes that was the issue that people had with me. Why is she so fat? She used to be skinny. And you see these stupid women who like to tell you how you get so fat. You see those insensitive comments, Caribbean women, please keep them to yourself. We don't need to hear them. They're insensitive, they're undiplomatic, and they're stupid. You know why they're stupid? Why do you think that I, as a 30-something-year-old or a 40-something-year-old, and now I'm talking to the women, right? Especially the women, especially Caribbean women, especially in the upper age bracket. Why do you think that I, as a 30-year-old, 40-year-old, I'm supposed to look exactly the way I looked when I was 18 years old? Do you look the same way you look when you were 18 years old? I'm willing to bet you don't. Because some of you are pretty hefty, right? So you see this dotishness with the body shaming and the constant put downs. I mean, I don't know, I don't know if it's Trinidad, I don't know if it's just people in general, but I feel like in Trinidad, people are constantly trying to put people down. It's like we live in a society where everybody is insecure. And to make your light shine brighter, as I've seen with this poster that I've seen online, it's like to make your light shine brighter, you must put out somebody's light. To me, that's like a mongrel kind of mentality. That's like pot hung behavior, pot hung kind of conversation. Why do we talk to each other like that? It's a human being you're talking to, not an animal. And even if you were talking to an animal, you don't have to talk to them like that. So please forgive me. This is a real pet peeve for me, you know. And like I said, body shaming comes from both sides, from, you know, males targeting women and women targeting women as well. But I find that it especially comes from the male side. And it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And I could tell you when I step out, when I dress, a lot of times I would dress because I want to look nice. I do want to look nice. You do want people to think you look nice, but you don't want people, how to put it? I don't know how to put this. You don't want people acting as though they have to decide whether you have made their pass mark or not. You know, some people are like that. I can tell you a couple months ago, I was at a supermarket in Trinidad and I had on a lovely top, a matching skirt, a straight skirt, and the skirt had a slit going up both sides, but I don't think the slit was too high. I checked in the mirror before I left. You would not believe when I was at the grocery, and I think I look quite nice. As a matter of fact, I know I look quite nice because there was a guy who kept following me around the grocery, right? But anyway, a lady looks at me from a distance. Not even, I mean, she looks at me from a distance, kind of looks me up and down with a look of disgust. And as if to say, I don't approve of what you're wearing. And I thought, is she crazy? She has to be out of place. First of all, there was nothing indecent about what I was wearing. I was well covered. The colors were matching. I looked perfectly fine. So I have to assume that she felt that maybe I dressed up too much, or I don't know what she was thinking. I don't know what she was thinking, but I said, wow. That same afternoon when I was at that grocery, I asked another lady if she could tell me where I could find something in a certain aisle, like which aisle was for, I can't remember what it was I was looking for. She literally looked me up and down, head to toe, as if that was her right. And I've noticed a lot of people do that now, especially the women. She looks me up and down very overtly. She wants to make it clear that she's looking me up and down. And then she told me where to go. I just told her thank you and went my way. But I mean, this kind of stupidity and superficiality needs to stop. It really needs to stop. It's stupid. I don't know. Maybe people have nothing better to do with their time. Maybe people are unhappy and these are the things that make them momentarily happy. I could tell you they may do these things and feel good in the moment, but then go back home and be their same miserable self, right? Miserable on many different levels. So yeah, that's my pet peeve. Like, come on, let's give the ladies a bit of an easier time. Please stop acting as though we belong to you. We don't belong to you. And especially when you're not married, that's the other thing. These are guys. Okay, let's talk about the guys. These are guys looking you up and down, checking out your toes and all this stuff. And they're not even married to you. They're not even married. They're not even like a romantic interest. And yes, I understand you want to go out with somebody who looks good and makes you look good. But this is too extreme. Get to know somebody first. Take the time to get to know somebody. See who they are. Who they are. And yes, I know men are visually stimulated and all this stuff. But no, man, you're taking this too far, man. You're taking this too far. It needs to stop. It really needs to stop. So that's my little rant. That's my little rant, right? I don't know how many of you agree with me, but yeah, I think that Miss Universe is for Miss Universe. Miss World is for Miss World. But Miss World and Miss Universe are not for the mall and not for the supermarket and not for anywhere else, right? So that's it. I know that may have been controversial. I know it may go against the grain, but so be it. I think somebody needed to see it. So that's it. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. Would love to know what you think. I don't know if what I've just described is a Caribbean thing or if it's a Western thing or a people's thing. I know it's definitely a Trinidadian thing. I don't think I really experienced this, not really in other parts of the world, but definitely in Trinidad. So I look forward to your comments and your thoughts. All right then, until the next video. Okay, so I had some additional thoughts I want to add in there, So I'm coming back. coming back. I'm reversing back, as we say in Trinidad. Anyway, just a couple more thoughts. First of all, one thing I forgot to say is that with respect to putting on weight for medical, due to medical reasons. For example, in my case, me putting on weight, though it's nobody's business, often is connected not to what I eat, but the fact that I have to take medication for certain things, right? And, it's not something I talk about. Why? Because it's nobody's business. It's nobody's business, right? It's nobody's business. Why do I have to explain that to anybody? How you get so fat? First of all, a disrespectful question like that does not warrant me inviting you into my personal business. A question like that automatically disqualifies you from me confiding in you, right? I could tell you when I lived in Japan, unless somebody was out to be really spiteful or vindictive or malicious, people were so sensitive. They thought about what they said and the possible repercussions, not just for them, but for the person that they're talking to, before they say anything to that person. People are so sensitive in Japan, so sensitive, so diplomatic. I think that's one of their strengths, right? Every culture has its strengths and has its weaknesses, but for Japan, one of their strengths is they're incredibly diplomatic and sensitive. I think in the Caribbean, we're like bulls in a china shop. We kind of run roughshod over everybody. You talk your mind, you don't care. I talk in my mind, me care how them feel. I go say what I want, that kind of attitude. That's not always the best attitude because you leave carnage behind you when you do that. Emotional carnage, right? The other thing is, so going back to the whole taking medicine, putting on weight thing. Okay, first of all, you come to me and you say, how you putting on so much weight? First of all, why do you think you're entitled to know about my personal health? We're not good friends. We're not good friends. Most times people coming to you with this nonsense. They're not your friend. Sometimes they're not even your family. Why do you think you're entitled to know that? I tend to keep these things to myself because your health is one of the things you don't discuss with people because people don't know how to handle your information. They'll use it and they'll take the information and use it against you in some way. So most people keep these things private. So please keep your nosy questions to yourself. And the other thing is, there could be many reasons why somebody may be putting on weight or losing weight. For example, I know of people who may put on weight, for example, because they have a hormonal issue, not because they're gluttons. And you know how people are, I find man, he's a fat pig because he eating too much or she eating too much, as we're talking about women in this case. She does like to eat too much. She don't watch what she eat. That's why she's so big and fat. You know how Trinis like to talk. You see that big and fat? It's disrespectful. We need to cut out that language. It's disrespectful. And besides, even if I'm fat, as you say, so what? Does that say something about my character? Does that say something about my intelligence? I could tell you this. The fact that you tell somebody you're big and fat and you've already decided where they are down below in your pecking order, where they are because they're big and fat, that tells me that you're really not that intelligent. You're not intelligent, right? And so you have people who, for whatever reason, maybe putting on weight, losing weight. Life is an experience of flux. Most people do not look the same for, in terms of their weight, their whole life. And you may say, gosh, Nika, why are you taking these people on? Why are you taking them on? Let me tell you something. People may say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's dotishness. Words do hurt. Words have energy. Feeling insulted, being treated with contempt, spoken with, looked at in a contemptuous way, hurts. I'm going to tell you, and you may say, but I just looked, I didn't say anything. But communication could be nonverbal as well. It could be body language as well, right? And you have to ask yourself, like, okay, let's think through this. You see that somebody has either suddenly put on weight or is suddenly losing weight, and you with your fast self come and say, hey, but how, and you might do it in front of other people too, on top of that. But hey, how you putting on so much weight? How you losing so much weight? What if the person has some very personal reason that they don't want to divulge as to why they may be losing or putting on weight? What if you just being nosy and making people feel uncomfortable for no good reason? That's stupid. That's very stupid. That's dotish. What a training would call dotish. That's you being a boboli, right? A big boboli. Right? I mean, the time you take to be gossiping about somebody behind their back, oh gosh, you don't see how funny her shape is? Oh my gosh, she's so ugly. She'll never have a man. She'll never get married. All these nasty things people probably say to people's face and behind their back. The time you take to pull somebody down, whether to their face or behind their back, what if you used that tongue of yours to constructively, sensitively build that person up? Tell them something useful. Have you ever considered, or would you mind if I offer you some advice? I know it may not be in my place. If not, I'll back away. But, maybe I've had this issue before and this is what worked for me. If you're coming with goodwill, use your tongue for more constructive purposes, right? I guess this is why the Bible says don't judge, because a lot of times we don't have the whole story. We don't have the whole story. We judge in the plot. I find this plot real dotish, boy. I have enough mystery. I have enough romance. I have enough whatever. This time you even read the whole plot. That's what we do with people when we judge them like that. So we can use our mouth, our tongue, to do a world of good instead of a world of evil. The time we take to gossip and pull people down, because we like that, especially women who have nothing to do or who have low self-esteem. We like to pull people down and talk about them and talk about business that I have nothing to do with, right? Use your tongue for something better. And I could tell you a good reason why, because at the end of time, we all have to answer, even for how we use our tongue. The things we think are little, the little things we tell people and then we move on, that we forget about, but that leave a permanent wound in somebody. Those things we have to answer for, right? When we meet our creator and our maker, we have to answer for those things. And I could tell you, I've been body shamed by all kinds of people. People in my family, people not in my family, whether it's my, blood family or church family or people in the human family. The human race is one family. I have had all kinds of people insult me, right? I could even tell you to illustrate my last point, the last point I made. I remember somebody in my family telling me once, now I have to tell you, I had a habit, still have it to some extent, of walking around barefoot, right? I love to walk around barefoot. I just feel more comfortable, right? the net effect of that was that the soles of my feet got kind of hard, and my skin, the skin on my feet was kind of really, really dry, a little cracked and stuff, right? So I remember one particular family member, I won't tell you if it's close family or, like cousin, auntie, that kind of thing. I won't bother to tell you that, but it was a family member. That person said, they say to me, nobody would ever want to kiss your feet. And I just thought, I mean, looking back now, I would think like, I mean, it didn't bother me in the moment. I couldn't be bothered, right? But um, it didn't bother me in the moment and I couldn't be bothered. But looking back, I would say, first of all, at that point, I really didn't want anybody kissing my feet. I could tell you that. That wasn't anything, that was not an appealing thought to me that somebody would want to kiss my feet. And fast forward over a decade, now I take the time to cream my feet and my skin and stuff that I never really was doing before, I'll admit. And my feet have been rejuvenated. They've been rejuvenated. My skin is, it's not dry and cracked anymore. Working on the underside of my feet now. But where it was cracked before, it's not cracked anymore. My skin looks really lovely and nice. I like it. I'm very happy with the progress I've made in that area. But it got me thinking, what if that person, instead of telling me, nobody ain't gonna want to kiss your feet, nobody will want to kiss your feet. And I promise you that person wasn't trying to be helpful. They really just wanted to pull me down. But what if they had used that same tongue and said, hey, Nika, why don't you get some like special cream, maybe cream for extra dry skin, and try applying that every day and see if it doesn't help your skin, Why don't you try that instead of nobody will want to kiss your feet? What kind of comment is that? What kind of comment is that, right? Anyway, my rant is done, I think. I think this is all I wanted to say. I think it's really horrible when family members pull each other down, but it's really horrible when anybody pulls anybody down. And well, yeah, that's it. Let's be kind to each other, but men, please be kind to ladies. We're very sensitive about how we look. I know men are as well, but ladies probably more so. You know why? Because of men. Because of how you have defined who you think we are supposed to be. Now, me personally, these things don't bother me, right? I mean, obviously, if I get into a relationship, I would, you want to make sure you look nice for your other half, right? But apart from that, I couldn't be bothered. I really couldn't be bothered, right? And then the other thing is sometimes you have to remember it takes money to be well put together, right? It takes money. You gotta buy the right clothes, the right earrings, have your nails manicured, all those things that people feel we should be doing. And we don't always have the money for that. We don't always have the money or the budget, right? Those things are not always a priority. So please let us be sensible and reasonable and kind, compassionate, constructive, thoughtful, considerate, sensitive, diplomatic, helpful, all of those things. That would be what I would say. And whether you're a man or whether you're a woman, please know that every individual is made in the image of God. That's what the Bible says. And there's a sense in which, I know this may sound cliche-ish, but someone's true beauty comes from within, right? Our beauty comes from within. I was looking at America's Got Talent, the finals last night. And there was a young lady with a beautiful voice. I mean, beautiful voice. I'm not sure if she's autistic. I'm not sure her eyes, like her eyes are a little odd, from maybe an average perspective. But I want to tell you something. When you when you listen to her speak, when you listen to her sing, how she looked became non-essential. It didn't matter. Became part of her beauty even. You just look at her and you just think, wow, she's a beautiful person. I mean, for a voice like that to come out of a soul like that, or for her to say some of the things that she said, um, you could see that she's a very gracious person and just a beautiful soul. And and to think she said when she was in school, maybe in high school, I want to believe, a lot of people made fun of her and all of that. The same things I'm telling you about, right? You know, it's so unkind to do these things to people. But there comes a point where you realize even good looking people, if they do enough dotishness, they start looking ugly. If they do enough wicked stuff, enough lochoness, they start looking ugly, right? So, you know, let's have a, maybe we should have a broad discussion about this and kind of have discussions about this with other people, with ourselves, with God, if we know God, if this is a weak point for us. We need to reevaluate our priorities and our sense of what is important, what has value, who has value, and why. I mean, I could go on and on. I could write a thesis on the topic of superficial standards and the things that people value, like money and profession and what job you have and where you've been and who you know and these kind of superficial things, right? God doesn't care about those things, and neither should we. So that's it. Do have a lovely evening. Please share your thoughts. It's starting to get dark, so you can't see my face properly. But some of you may say, you know, oh God, we can't see her face properly. Guess what? I don't care. Anyway, I'm just being silly, but you know, being a little facetious. But yeah, you know, I hope that people will give some serious thought to this. And if you have been a victim of body shaming, just know that you are made in the image of God. You're beautiful. You're beautiful, or you're good looking, you're handsome. That's how God sees you. And yes, some people may be graced with more what would be called conventional beauty or conventional good lookingness than other people. But at the end of the day, we're all beauty, and beauty comes from within. Beauty comes from within. Just being confident will make you beautiful, right? Just being confident. You know, you could be the most attractive person in the world, have no confidence, and people will start thinking that you're kind of maybe not that attractive, right? So just work on your confidence. Work on whatever you can work on, whatever you can afford to work on, whatever you have access to be able to improve yourself. And yeah, that's it. I would love to hear people's thoughts. That's it.